This video is on conversions, and what I mean by that is if we're given grams, can we convert to moles? If we're given moles, can we go back to grams? We also need to be able to convert between moles and molecules. Molecules or particles or atoms or formula units, those would all be the same process of conversion back to moles. So first, I want to show you this little mole map. If we have our mass, which is measured in grams, and I am trying to calculate moles, so I'm starting in grams and I'm going to moles, or if I'm starting in moles and I'm going back into grams, in order to go back and forth between mass and moles, I use my molar mass. That is because my molar mass, for example, if I look at carbon, it's 12.01 grams per mole. That means that I have 12.01 grams in 1 mole of my substance. So I can use my grams to convert into moles, my molar mass, as my conversion factor to go back and forth. So let's see a couple examples of that. Convert 2.16 grams of H2O into moles. So first, this is what I'm given to start with, my 2.16 grams of H2O. So I'm going to write that off to the left side. Then I am trying to find moles. That's what I'm trying to get to. In order to cancel my grams, I'm going to set up my fence post. Now, what my fence post, all this vertical line is, it's just a multiplication sign. So if you don't like the fence post but fractions make better sense to you, you can write it, H2O, you can write it like this, times your fraction. That vertical line just means a multiplication. The horizontal line means that it's a division or some type of fraction. I'm going to stick with the top kind because that's what we've seen most often. So to cancel my units of grams, well, this is technically on the top over 1. I don't label this 1. I don't need a label, but if you prefer having that on the top, you can put it over 1 just to make sure it's on the top. Anytime you have units that show up both in the top and in the bottom, then they cancel. So in order to cancel these grams, right now they're on the top, so I'm going to put them in the bottom in order to cancel grams. And what I'm trying to get to, so I'm in grams, I can only go into moles from grams. So I'm going to put moles on the top. That would cancel grams on the top, grams here on the bottom. Again, I don't need any type of label. That's a big ink blob, sorry. I don't need any type of label here, and I could have just left it without a 1 at the bottom. Now, to go from mass into moles, I have to use my molar mass. So, molar mass of H2O, well, hydrogen, I have 2 of them. On the periodic table, my mass of hydrogen is 1.0079. Oxygen, I only have 1. Excuse me, that should be a 1. Mass of oxygen is 15.9994. 2 times 1.0079 plus 15. We had molar mass in a previous section. I know this from heart, so I'm just going to put it in. Well, let me actually show it. Blah. Okay. 2 times my 1.0079 equals 2.0158. My 1 times 15.9994 gives me 15.9994. Then I add those 2 together. I get 18.015 grams per mole. which means that I have 18.015 grams equal to 1 mole. This is what I use to plug into my conversion factor. So my 18.015 goes with the grams, which is on the bottom, 18.015 grams. And that is equal to 1 mole. This division, or that line, that horizontal line there, tells me that these are equalities. They're going to be equal to each other. So 18.015 grams is equal to 1 mole. That's how I set up my work. Now, to plug this into my calculator, what I do is I multiply any numbers that are on the top. On the top, I times. That's how one way you can remember them. And I am going to divide any numbers that show up on the bottom. So down, I divide. Now, I can plug in 2.16 times 1 because it's on the top. Well, hopefully you know that anything times 1 is going to be itself. So my 2.16 times 1, I already know that's going to be 2.16. So I can really just skip that step. Then I have this 18.015 that goes down. It's on the bottom of my fraction here, bottom of my conversion factor. I need to take this, my 2.16 times 1, divided by 18.05. Well, I know my 2.16 times 1 is already 2.16. I need to now divide that by my 18.015. That gives me 0.1199. That's my answer. I'm going to moles. This is units of moles. Make sure you give me units. I could round this up to 3 digits. So my 0, don't worry about the zeros in the front counting. I'm going to keep my 1. This 199, well, that 9 causes that 9 to round up. So that would become a 2, and in order to give a third digit, give me a 0 at the end. So 1.20 moles is my answer for this first one. Let's work backwards. So that's going from mass into moles. Let's start the other way. So what is the mass? I'm trying to find mass in grams of 0.573 moles of NaCl. So I'm going to start with what I'm given, which is my 0.573. I'm going to put my unit, moles of NaCl. I don't want to stay in moles. Let me write it this different way. It's the same as the fence post, but just as a comparison, let me write it this different way. I don't want to stay in moles, so I'm going to put my moles on the bottom so that they cancel, because units cancel diagonally. And I am trying to get to mass in grams, so I'm going to put grams here on the top. Again, anytime I'm going moles to mass or mass to moles, I need to use my molar mass. So I find the molar mass of NaCl. I have 1 sodium. Sodium on the periodic table has a mass of 22.9897. Chlorine, I only have 1 of those. Chlorine has a mass of 35.453. When I add these together, 22.9897 plus 35.453, I get 58.4427 grams per mole, which means I have 58.4427 grams, which is equal to 1 mole. So my 58.4427, when I'm trying to plug it back into my conversion factor here, my 58 goes with the units of grams, which are on the top, because that's where I need my grams in order for them to not cancel, and my moles need to go on the bottom in order for those to cancel. So I have 58.4427 on the top, and that is equal to 1 mole. Because both of these numbers are on the top, I'm going to times them in my calculator. So 0.573 times 58.4427. I could divide by 1 because it goes down, but anything divided by 1 is going to be itself. So I just care about those two being multiplied together, equals, I get 33.4876, blah, 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 blah. It keeps going. Again, I only need 3 digits. So let's round this to 33. That 8 would round that 4 up to 5. 33.5. Include your units. Our moles canceled out, so we are left with just grams. I'm going to pause the video there. Hope that was helpful to go